Well, Eagle fans, the Eagles open up free agency, making a huge splash. And let's just say that yours truly said this was not going to happen. A little bit of crow to eat for sure, and a lot to talk about as the Eagles come out strong. Howie's working his magic. We're going to talk about it next on Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. Well, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Whatever time of the day it is you're listening to this program. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. And yes, just as I said, and what we learned today, folks, was that this is going to be a different Eagles team. That the loss, the horrible way that the season ended last year, has shaken things up in Philadelphia, in the front office, in Howie Mandel land. Howie Mandel. I can't believe I just said Howie Mandel. Howie Roseman, that is. Woo! Howie Mandel. Well, that just tells you how, that's a sign as far as how much the free agency period threw yours truly off today. Because you just have to go just back one episode. And I said that there was no way the Eagles were going to be bringing in Saquon Barkley. No chance. Ignore the clickbait. Ignore the nonsense. Ignore it all, I said. You know, most of the time I'm right, I have to say. You know, I know of from which I speak. But there are going to be times where I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be accurate. I am not Nostradamus. I'm never going to be 100% accurate in everything that I predict or claim. Now, when I was talking about the fact that this move was not going to happen, there was good reason for me to say those things, right? I mean, this is going against the grain. This is the salmon going up the river against the forces of water, against the stream. This is not following the script that the Eagles have done historically. And so when I was, making these claims that there is no way that Barkley was going to be an Eagle, because I knew that they weren't going to be putting this much money into the running back position because they haven't ever done that in a lot of years since LaShawn McCoy was the last big contract they gave out. And then they ended up trading him, as we remember, because he was so expensive. The contract they did sign, they ended up moving him off to the Bills. No, knowing that Barkley was going to be the highest ended, in terms of the pay, running back out there, that's why I just was like, there's just no way that's going to happen. The Eagles are not going to dump that much money into the running back position. Due to Howie's history, the Eagles' history, and the fact that there was other good running back talent out there, including Swift, that I just didn't see it happening at all. And I'm going to talk about the actual agreement and deal, and I'll let you know my thoughts are on it. But I have to, just say here at the top that clearly I was wrong about Saquon coming to the Eagles. So anyone out there that listened to my podcast yesterday, or actually the previous the last 2 or 3 podcasts, where I may have made reference to this is never going to happen, and to ignore all the rumors and innuendo that was out there. And because it happened. Saquon Barkley is a Philadelphia Eagle. And I'm excited about that. I mean, this has got nothing to do with the player. Um, I just never thought in a million years that it would happen. Um, that the Eagles would actually use a good portion of the salary cap at the running back position. So before I get into what my thoughts are on the actual deal itself, let me just comment here quickly about what he brings to this offense. Number one, he is a multi-dimensional running back, meaning he's not only good running the ball, but he also is a very good receiver out of the backfield. He's one of the best in the league. So he's a dual threat for sure. He's a 3-down running back, which we haven't had really in a while. And I didn't think they really gave Miles Sanders, as you guys know, um, the opportunity to really become the 3-down back, but he was not good receiving the ball. He had a lot of drops. So I could see why. I thought they gave up on him too soon in that respect, because I thought his rookie season he proved that he could catch the ball, and then he had a couple of seasons after that where he didn't catch the ball too well. Barkley is a 3-down running back. So we now have a horse. We haven't had a horse since McCoy. So in that respect, it's a huge addition, and it will greatly help this team and take some pressure off of Hurts. Hurts is going to have to throw to the running back now. And we're going to find out now, has it been the Eagles' offensive scheme as to why they didn't throw to Swift enough out of the backfield, or Miles Sanders before him, or even Gainwell? They throw to him, but not that often. And certainly when they could easily just dump it off, oftentimes they never did. We're going to find out now if that was the offensive scheme or if that was Jalen Hurts who just refused to dump it off and just was always going to go, try to make a play downfield. That's something we'll talk about later on. Because we're going to find out what exactly that was, or that potentially is. But the Eagles bring in Barkley, who is one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. I don't think anybody will dispute that. Certainly, he's had his injury issues that has plagued him in his career with the Giants. He has put up really big numbers with the Giants team that has sucked his entire career. I mean, let's face it, the Giants have been bad. Bad offensive line, bad coaching, a bad quarterback play, pretty much everything. And but it wasn't because of him. He's a very good pass protector. That's another huge addition. That's part of his game. That's going to really help the Eagles. And clearly, he's a great running back. When the ball's in his hands, he is a weapon. He's a tough running back to bring down, as he brings a load with him for sure. He's hard to tackle. He's agile for his size. He really has all the dimensions and attributes that you look for in a running back. And again, like talked about his hands. His hands are very good too. Not only out of the backfield, but he makes catches downfield. So he's a huge weapon. The Penn State product now comes home to Philadelphia. He's already taken a lot of heat from the Giants, and especially Tiki Barber's been very public since this move, calling, basically saying, he's Saquon's dead to him, and how could he possibly, sign with the Eagles, and he's totally tarnished and ruined his Giants career, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Saquon gives a rat's ass about the Giants, honestly. I thought the Giants, not the fans, but the Giants organization never really, gave him, surrounded him with the talent to really fully utilize his abilities, and refused to sign him long term. I mean, how many years in a row did they franchise tag him? They had opportunities to sign him. They kept sort of dicking him around. And so as far as Saquon's concerned, he's got a team right down the road in his hometown. I think he grew up in like Bethlehem, Pennsylvania area. And he's got a chance to go and play for the Eagles, who committed to him long term, gave him a lot of money. And obviously he's going to have a much better offensive line and offense to work behind. So from that standpoint, I think the Eagles, this move is huge and will certainly help this team. But I'm going to take a step back and talk about what my thoughts are as far as what I would have done if I was Howie. And this has really got nothing to do with the predictions that I made about him not coming to the Eagles. I was just flat out wrong about that. But I do think that the Eagles' philosophy and Howie's philosophy about not overpaying for running back is a good one. The Eagles have been successful. not paying a lot of money to the running backs and putting that money into other positions. And they have now reversed course on that. And I'm not sure if it's a smart thing to do, honestly. I really don't. To me, personally, I would have given Swift the 3-year deal at $24 million that he got from the Bears, rather than going 3 years and 40, upwards of potentially $45 million, but $37 million for Barkley. Even though we know he's a better running back, but Swift to me was a good fit here, and would have been a lot cheaper, and they still would have had to pay him a decent amount, more than they even usually pay that position. But Swift is 25 years old. Barkley, I believe, is 27 years old, I want to say. So that's personally what I would have done. I would have either re-signed Swift or, gone cheap again at the running back position. But obviously have somebody who's talented here, like they've always had. The Eagles have done well going cheap at the running back position, either drafting it or signing guys. They've done a really good job of that over the years and have been very successful. And they've been able to put those assets and money into other positions, which made them an overall stronger team. For that reason, I don't like the Barkley deal. And obviously, when you spend that much money on a guy who's been injury prone, that's got to be concerned as well. Because let's face it, Barkley has had a lot of trouble staying healthy. So this is a risky move. This is a bold, risky move by the Eagles, and one that is outside of their normal way of thinking. And like I said, I have nothing against Barkley. I think he's a spectacular talent and a really good running back. But I don't think I would have done this if I was Howie. I would have kind of kept to the same mentality of bargain shopping at the running back position, bringing in good talent, but getting him at a good salary, and not one that is so inhibitive of your overall salary cap structure. And so the Eagles have decided not to do that. So now, what's the reason for it? We won't know for sure until we talk to Howie, until we hear from him that the Eagles were finally willing to spend money at the running back position. I would have much rather them having spent a lot of money like this at linebacker, just personally, rather than running back. I would still go cheaper running back and put that money into linebackers. That's what I would have done. But, bottom line is Saquon Barkley is an upgrade at the running back position. It's an expensive one. And but the Eagles, here's the other reason why I think the Eagles, and maybe Howie did it. And again, until we really hear from him, we won't know for sure. But just trying to get in Howie's head. This is a win now football team. And if he believes that Howie's, the money's worth to really go for it over the next 3 years by bringing in a stud running back who could do it all, then I could see that's why he did it. I could see the reason why there's a little bit of a sense of urgency, especially the way the season ended last year, to do this. So I'm trying to look at both sides here. I still think that I don't know. Again, I don't want to speak for Howie, but this is what I'm thinking. I believe that Howie's philosophy is still the same, not to spend a lot at the running back position. I think in general, this is not a structural change going forward. I feel that this is a sign that the Eagles and Howie see this is a win now team. We have a short window here when we have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith together and Goddard to win, because they're not going to keep both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. One of them is going to go, and it's going to be probably A.J. Brown. They're going to probably sign Devontae long term and let Brown go. So we only have Brown for 2 more years. So that's the window. So Howie's going for it. This is what the sign and signal is to me coming out of Philadelphia, is that the Eagles are going to make a huge run. And they followed up the Saquon move by bringing in a pass rusher in Bryce Huff from the Jets, who had 10 sacks last year. I got to do a little bit more research on this guy, but I talked to a couple Jet fan friends of mine who have high praise for this guy. And, he had 10 sacks last year, young guy. I saw a little bit of film on him. He looks the part. So that is, and I think he was rated second overall as far as the percentage, pass rush percentage in the entire league in getting to the quarterback. So this guy knows how to get home. And so that's impressive. What this is going to mean about Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick and what their futures are with the Eagles, one of them is not going to be here this year. I don't know which one it's going to be, but the Eagles are probably going to trade one of these two guys. Either Sweat or Reddick, I don't believe will be on this team. And we'll have to sit back and figure out how the Eagles iron that out. I saw this rumor that I can't remember who it was now. I think it was the 49ers is like the latest rumor that they're interested or they think they're going to trade for Reddick. There's no way. If the Eagles are going to trade Reddick, they're not trading him to the Cowboys, which is another rumor I heard. And they're not going to trade him to the 49ers. So that I can tell you with full confidence, even more confidence that I can't say that. I was pretty confident the Eagles were not going to get Barkley. But again, folks, most of the time I'm right about these things. You can go back to my archives and listen to any of the predictions I made. Most of the time I'm right. This one I totally misfired on. So anyone, by the way, I started saying this earlier, any fans out there in the audience that disagreed with my prediction or were aggravated or frustrated with me because I didn't think this was going to happen. I was basically saying it was going to happen and criticizing any fans that were under this belief that Saquon, had the potential to come here. I apologize to you. I was wrong. I'm happy for you and being right that he is here. So, but part of this podcast is me giving you my opinion, and that was my opinion. And this is a lot of the crowds that were saying the same thing last year about Bijan Robinson. Eagles were going to move up and draft him. I knew that wasn't going to happen. And had the same type of criticism. Like, there's a lot of just clickbait. There's no way the Eagles going to, draft Bijan Robinson. One of the times that I was right. But this Barkley move totally surprised me. Still kind of surprised that they made this move. I like it overall. Like I said, I'm kind of like I'm differentiating between what I feel about having Barkley in the team and if I feel was a smart move. Because to me, there's two separate questions there. Do I like Barkley on this team as a running back? Absolutely. Do I think the Eagles paid too much at the running back position where they could have used that money in other positions? Yes, absolutely as well. So we'll see. We'll see how this all kind of transpires. Hopefully the Eagles work on this defense now with the remainder of free agency because I think they've done plenty on offense now. The remainder of free agency has got to be building back this defense, and the draft has got to be, except for the offensive line, where I could see them drafting some depth guys for sure. I want the draft to be all defense because that's what really needs to improve on this team is the defense. But welcome to Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley, and to all my Giants fans and friends out there who may be listening. Thank you, Giants. He's going to look a lot better in Eagles green than in your big blue. And I hope that he destroys the Giants every chance he gets. He's going to be motivated. Not that we don't beat the Giants every year anyway, but he's going to have extra motivation to beat up on the Giants, and I'm going to love and enjoy watching that. Aren't we all? So before this all happened, by the way, the Eagles announced that they signed, and I predicted this would happen, Landon Dickerson to an extension, a 4-year extension, making him the highest paid guard in the NFL. That's one thing the Eagles have no problem spending money on is their lines. And they, Landon Dickerson, you may argue that is not the best guard in the NFL and it shouldn't be worth that contract. But you know what? He is one of the best guards in the NFL, and these contracts are all going crazy. And that if you just take a look at all these contracts being signed. So do I think he should be one of the highest paid guards in the league? Yes, I do. Should he be the highest right now? Probably not, but that's not going to last. Either later this year or next year, certainly, he won't be the highest paid guard anymore. Somebody else will that contract will supersede Dickerson. So congratulations, Landon Dickerson. The guy's a beast. I love that guy. Just got to hope he remains and continues to stay healthy because overall he's been able to do that so far. And so the Eagles lock him up long term. He was more of a priority than Devontae Smith, only because his final year is this year, where the Eagles have the fifth-year option on Devontae Smith. So, but they're going to get to work next, I'm sure, on locking up Devontae Smith soon. I don't know if that'll be this year. Probably be smart to do it this year. Devontae might want to hold off and try to get more money, not be as willing to get to the negotiation table. I do think Devontae Smith wants to be an Eagle. I'm not trying to say that that's not the case, but from an agent standpoint, they may want to talk more after the season than before this next season. But we'll see. I'm sure the Eagles are motivated to now set their sights on signing Devontae Smith now long term. But Landon Dickerson is going to be the Eagle for the next 4 years as a signed extension. So that's nothing but great news there. Barkley's contract, by the way, 3 years, $37 million. And I didn't think that the Eagles would go. I said the highest would be about $6 to $7 million this season that they would go for running back, and they went way over that with Barkley. So actually, this contract has the opportunity to be realized at closer to $45 million if Barkley hits the built-in incentives. But 3 years, $37 million is the contract with the chance to build to $45 million. The other big move, again, that I mentioned was Bryce Huff, the defensive end from the Jets. Young guy, 25 years old. He had 10 sacks last season, and he signed for 3 years, $34 million. So, again, very expensive as well. And, oh, man, the one guy that I didn't write down, they did sign the linebacker from the Saints, whose name slips me at the moment. I thought I wrote it down, but I did not. So let me just get his name here. Give me one moment. I remember the guy when he was coming out of college. I remember this name, and it was a guy that I was kind of looking at the Eagles to maybe a draft that year. I remember he was a third-round pick. Let me see if I can get his name here. I mean, I'm on the Eagles website. Oh, I think, you know what? That's not going to do me any good because the Eagles actually can't officially announce any of these guys being signed until these agreements are actually just signed. Because for those of you who may not know, this is the tampering period, the legal tampering period. So clubs are able to actually, make offers and agreements with the players. But that doesn't mean that they are actually officially signed yet until the new league season begins. So that is that's the difference there. As I'm trying to find the dude's name, he's got like a short name. Shoot, man, this drives me nuts. I didn't write it down before I started the show. See if I can find it. Anyway, they did sign a linebacker, and that's the bottom line. And if I can find it, I'll be sure to tell you about it. But it might take me a minute here to do so. So bear with me. Actually, what I'm going to do, just because I have the ability to do that, is just take a quick break. I'll be right back. Zach Baun, folks. Zach Baun, the now former Saints linebacker, third-round pick. And he's a guy that I remember reading about when he was coming out of college. So didn't really start necessarily for the Saints. He's kind of more of like a role player. So we'll see what the Eagles have in store for him. and we'll talk more about him. But I just want to make a point that the Eagles did actually bring in a linebacker in free agency, and I'm sure there's more work to be done, in terms of that. But we'll see how it all works out here as we move forward. Um, okay, so the next piece of business here is what else happened around the league. And in our division, obviously the addition by subtraction with the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles taking their easily their best player in Saquon Barkley. But the Giants did make some moves. They picked up John Runyon Jr. Yes, the son of the former Eagle offensive lineman John Runyon. One of them highly touted, and actually a guy that was rumored that the Eagles were interested in for their guard depth, since they do have an opening at the right guard. But John Runyon Jr. signed with the Giants, so that was a good pickup by them. And they also signed another guy that was very much being named as far as the Eagles' interest, and that's Brian Burns, the talented linebacker, defensive end out of the from the Panthers. The Giants got him and signed him to a walloping $150 million contract, so they're paying him a ton. But he's now going to be able to line up opposite of Thibodeau. Is it Thibodeau or Tebow? They're talented defensive end. And so the Giants are going to have one hell of a pass rush next year, folks, with those two guys. So that was a good pickup by the Giants. And they also replaced Saquon Barkley with Devin Singletary. So he's going to, not that he replaces Barkley, but they got a halfway decent running back in there now that they have at running back. So Singletary will be the Giants running back. So the Giants making a lot of moves today. And the Commanders also pretty active, which you knew because they have a ton of money under the cap. They signed Austin Eckler, who I think he's a really good, versatile running back. So that was a good move. They kind of picked apart the Cowboys and signed their center for a big dollar contract. So that helps the Commanders and hurts the Cowboys. So anything that hurts the Cowboys, we all applaud. And, I'm sure the Washington Commanders are going to make a lot more moves. Again, they got a lot of money. They got new ownership in there. So I'm sure there's going to be more to come from Washington. Van Ginkel, the linebacker from the Dolphins, that another one that was rumored and a lot of talk about him and Eagles being interested in him. That was the linebacker. I couldn't remember his name when I had Matt on. You may remember from that podcast. Van Ginkel signed with the Vikings, who, by the way, the Vikings, you want to talk about a team that's in disarray. They let Kirk Cousins go as they never locked him up during the season. They have no answers at quarterback. And Kirk Cousins signed with the Falcons, which is a good move for the Falcons. But what does that leave? You got to wonder what, Justin Jefferson's thinking. Because he just lost his quarterback. They don't have an answer right now, for a quarterback. I couldn't even tell you who's going to be their starter right now. They don't have a high draft pick, so they're not going to get one of these, top quarterbacks unless they, give up a fortune to move up and get one of them. I don't know what's going on in Minnesota, but you have to imagine that Justin Jefferson's not going to be a happy camper right now. But the Falcons, on the other hand, Kirk Cousins goes to them, and gives them a bona fide good quarterback. By the way, Kirk Cousins has made an absolute fortune in the NFL for being a quarterback that's slightly above average to good. Certainly not great. I don't think he's ever won a playoff game, maybe one. He's never been good in the playoffs. Good quarterback, puts up big numbers, and he's made an absolute fortune with all the contracts that he signed. The first initial one with the Redskins, formerly the Redskins, and then all the franchise tags. He had like at least 2 seasons in a row where they franchise tagged him, so he was guaranteed top 5, quarterback salary. And then he signed a monster contract with the Vikings, and now he signs a monster contract with the Falcons. I think it's close to like $50 million a season. Crazy. He has made more money in this league for being, like I said, not great, but a good quarterback. But holy cow. What else? We talked about Swift. We all wish DeAndre Swift well as he goes to the Bears. That was one of the first signings I heard of today. Might have been the first actual big signing of the free agency tampering period. The Bears quickly pounced on Swift and signed him to a 3-year, $24 million deal, which is exactly where I thought the Swift would be. I said he would be probably about an $8 million a year running back, which is why I didn't think the Eagles would sign him or keep him. But now the Eagles have shown that they were willing to go as higher than that. Like I said, I feel that the better move, the smarter move, potentially, well, see how this all pans out. But to me, I like the philosophy of not paying the running backs. I think it's a dime a dozen position. Yeah, you do have the elite running backs, and Barkley is one of those when healthy. So they now do have an elite running back. That is for sure. But to me, you don't need an elite running back to win. And that's why I generally always agreed with the Eagles' philosophy that, go cheap at the running back position. Get talented players, no doubt, but go cheap relatively and put that money into other positions. The Eagles have shifted gears on that philosophy this year and bring in Barkley. But to me, I think the better move, smarter move, maybe not better move, but smarter move would have been to just re-sign Swift for 3 years at $24 million if they're going to spend money. If they're going to decide to spend money, which they clearly did, that's what I would have done. Just my opinion. But I will obviously welcome Barkley into the Eagles and look forward, really do look forward to watching him play for the Eagles. It should be fun. And just, we're going to all cross our fingers that he just remains healthy. And we'll see what also the Eagles have up next. I mean, this is just the start of free agency. What else does Houck have up his sleeve? That's which was going to be fun to watch. Now, there's a lot of work to be done on defense, so I'm hoping, and I know Howie does feel that way, but let's see what he ends up doing on defense now. Will they trade Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick? It appears that one of those two guys is definitely going to go. So that's going to be something to keep our eye on here. I'm not sure how soon that will happen. Could it happen this week? Possibly. Will it happen before the draft? Definitely likely, because more than likely draft picks will be coming back to the Eagles if they were to move one of those two guys. But we'll see. We'll see. There's going to be more to talk about. It's very exciting news. Saquon Barkley, for all of you who were probably barking back at the radio when you heard me say it wasn't going to happen. It's not happening. Barkley's not coming here. Ignore the nonsense. Stop paying attention to clickbait. Well, you guys were absolutely right. And yours truly, the host of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff, has to eat a little bit of crow and miscalculating what the Eagles were planning on doing this year. So, but number 26, that jersey number is available. Saquon Barkley will be toting the rock, as they say, in Philadelphia here for the next 3 seasons, and that is going to be a lot of fun to watch. All right, folks, listen, once again, remember, the YouTube channel is up. Make sure you subscribe because the future of this program, again, it will remain on these platforms as well, but the future will be on YouTube where I'm going to be able to take your comments live. You'll be able to talk to me live during the program. That is the future. Or even if it's not live, I'll see your comments and I'll be responding on a future podcast. So I want to just make sure you guys go to that YouTube channel. It's Philadelphia Eagles Talk W/Geoff, just like it is on your current platform. Go in there and subscribe because we're closing in on episode 200, and I'd like to be able to fully move over to that down the road. Thanks again for listening. Much more to come. We will stay on top of all the free agency moves. Keep it right here on Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. Thank you for listening as always, and we'll catch you later. Fly, Eagles, fly. Welcome to Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley. Take care, everyone.